I put a couple numbers here that I'll get to in a second, but we have, for our applying the standard, we have 61 out of 100. Like we wrote on our daily ticker, that's the same thing as 61%, and which is the same thing as 61 hundredths. All three of these represent this concrete representation here. Now, the reason I put these numbers here is because these are all of the double-digit numbers that end in 1. And many times we can assume that if it ends in 1, it is prime. Like, look at this. 11 is prime, 31 is prime, 41, 51, 61, 71, 91. The only two that are not prime are 21 and 81. Go on the daily lesson plan and tell me, what does 21 and 81 have in common? Remember when we talked about our toolboxes of how we find out how numbers have factors if we're not quite sure? Because sometimes 21 and 81 can be a little misleading because we just assume that because most of them end in 1, that 21 and 81 end in 1. And this might be something that pops up on your SBAC test. So go ahead and go through your toolbox and find out what factors both 21 and 81 have in common. And it might give you a little insight of why those two numbers that end in 81, why they are kind of tricky. But in doing this, we know that 61 is prime. And if it is prime, it only has itself and 1 as its factors. And we know 100 does not have 61 as a factor. So 61 out of hundredths is in simplest form.